I think it's interesting. It's going to make a little bit of a skill gap.
So last week, Figma announced variables at Config 2023. I haven't had much of a chance to play with them yet, but I know someone who does. So I'm just on my way after work to go and meet him, and we're going to have a chat, and I'm going to quiz him about how he's been using them. Because I'm pretty sure that already at the company he works for, he's put them into his design system and is using them. So we're going to go meet him and have a chat. And I found a very tall man.
Hello, hello.
This is Henry, and we're going to have a chat.
Cheers.
What do you do, Henry? Let's start there.
I can give you my LinkedIn spiel. I am a digital product designer, first and foremost. I work at Société Générale, which is a nice big French investment banking group.
Nice.
I specifically work in the investment bank, so there's lots of different commercial banks and things.
Yeah, but you don't do finance, you're not a banker.
I'm not a banker, but definitely a designer. We have that's what I tell. I think I have to start with it. I'm a designer first, and then I can talk about when I'm in a bank. But more specifically, I'm a design systems lead. I'd say sort of like 80% of my work is on our design system.
And so what I really wanted to grab you and talk to you about is we were both at the Config watch party last Wednesday, and we watched Figma announce all of those mad features, so much stuff. a lot got released. On Thursday morning, I was like, I don't know this software anymore. And on Thursday morning, you got straight to work and created so many variables.
I think I want to start initially with a disclaimer for everyone there who is about to set up on the variables journey. And I've been thinking about this disclaimer after I spend like 4 hours making variables. Do not worry too much about them yet. It's a super new technology, it's a super new feature in general. I don't think Figma have really sort of like realized the extent of what they're going to be in the future, It's like a new idea that's been implemented. And so I think a message to any design system maintainer out there, don't feel the hype pressure just because someone like me went for it. Don't feel that high pressure. It's okay if you change nothing in your system at all.
Yeah.
So that's the first disclaimer.
I think Figma, unlike other design tools as well, they're not that opinionated about how to do stuff. They always let people work out the best way to do stuff. And I think we saw this with components and component variants over
definitely.
a few years. The design community came up with best practices for organizing variants.
And I mean, look how many best practices we've been through as well.
Yeah.
First with like the concept of base components, we'd have one, and then we kind of shifted away from that.
Yeah, and everyone was like, get rid of the base components, it's slowing down
and then it was like, you've got too many variants now, so split it into subcomponents and things like that. So it's interesting how that's evolved.
But tell me about your variables creation journey on Thursday morning.
So it was hugely manual. But you know what? As like a design systems lead, most of my job is organization, and we have a real philosophy that because we really rely on external contribution. Like from the team, we try and get people in to do a lot of design work.
Yeah.
And our philosophy there is to give them the fun work.
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice for me to have like a bit of the sort of fun, even though it was a bit arduous in the end, I won't lie. But it's nice to do something practical in the design tool for once, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So where did you start and where have you ended?
So I'm not much of a guide reader. I didn't read their documentation. I dived in and I started making some. That was the first step. Started with colors, because colors seemed like the most practical choice. So first was just our primary palette, the core set of 20 colors that we use for interface, light theme, dark theme, in those. Very basic set, literally 20 times 2 in total.
Yeah. So
that was it. Very manual. Copying hex codes. If you're interested in the details about how I sped it up a bit, I learned where to click for each one, so a bit of muscle memory there. And on one screen I had the variables table in Figma, and I opened a second instance of Figma with my same Figma file, and I went into inspect mode, and so I just could click on the variables and copy them in. So I made it a bit faster.
So clever. I've not dug into the variables panel so much, but it feels very frustrating. It's not movable, it's not resizable.
Yeah.
So that's a great workaround.
Yeah. They are missing some. I mean, it makes sense though. It's like for everyone, it's a beta, and they mean it, and I can't bash them for that. Yeah. But they're missing a few things like duplicate, copying and pasting, formatting things could be a bit easier as well. So they're definitely missing. There's definitely some optimization on the table itself. So colors worked, and then actually I stopped at our core palettes and I started testing. So I started pushing to see how much it could work. So what you do is you go to a layer and you can switch between light or dark.
Yeah.
So I started testing that, and at the same time, I started making resources to show my team. So that stage, I was like, I'm testing it myself. Let me open up a new demo file, and so we have like weekly or twice weekly team catch-ups. So it means that in that one I can show you what it can do now. And actually, one of the main reasons why I was pretty eager to go in and use it for light and dark mode and color is because we never really had an amazing solution for that. Like we could use Figma library switching, so we can switch out one theme file for another theme file. But it wasn't ideal, because you'd have to design in light theme and then switch to dark. So it wasn't great. And this also aligns really nicely with timing, because with our branding team, we just validated light and dark usage across the whole platform.
So just break that down for me. What does that mean?
So what I work on specifically is like a suite of banking products. You can think of it like an app store for investment bankers. It's like 200 to 300 products.
That is a lot of products.
It's a lot of products. It really is a lot of products.
But all with the same brand.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we've been going for a long time now. It's been like 7-8 years. So it's quite a long-term design system. So props to Morgan Payne, who set up the team.
We love Morgan.
Yeah, we love Morgan. She's been going for a long time now in the design system
great.
space. And so one of our core design system decisions was that only data visualization tools and execution tools could have dark mode.
Okay.
Because it was like a decision. It was a functional decision to have it for them because it's better, you know? And then with Brand, they became a bit more flexible, I guess, and they said, okay, we want to start pushing dark mode, you know, for accessibility and things like that in different modes.
And I feel like users are just so much more used to it as well. Like it's on your phone, it's on Mac.
Yeah.
You want to see dark mode in it.
Yeah, exactly. But we try and keep as close to business use cases as we can. So that's why we really had those rules in place. But now we're going to open it up so every service can in theory toggle. Like the user can do it themselves to toggle, which is cool, you know, it's really cool. So yeah, contextually, kind of good timing for variables. We didn't have a good solution before, and we weren't like building tons of plugins to help us with that.
So you started making some variables, you tried some stuff out, you demoed it with your team.
Yeah.
It's now been what, weeks since config.
Yeah. So I think I've converted our entire color palettes, and these color palettes are our core colors. And then I implemented also like our additional colors, like the, you know, like when you're using like colors for badges and things like category colors. And then also the data visualization palette as well. And that is a much larger palette because you need the shades to match and have lots of colors. So all in all, that's like 80 colors or something. And then in both themes.
So that's all set up as variables. And have you done that
Yes.
as like primitives?
We haven't really gone much down the design tokenization route, in fact. So it's all top level token. If you're thinking about it in terms of tokens, it's all top level tokens. So it's just one-to-one.
I guess we should explain at this point the difference between styles and variables. Do you want to have a go at doing
So as far as I can concern, the difference between a color, let's stick with color,
Yeah, for color.
stick with color, is a variable is a single value,
Yeah.
and in styles, you can assign multiple colors.
Yeah. So you could, for example, stack a linear gradient
Yes.
if you wanted like a fade to black at the bottom half.
Yes.
Or you could have an image and then a color. And the
Yes.
color could have like
Yeah.
a blending mode.
Blending modes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Exactly.
a style can be a stack of variables, which is annoying because I think you can't have gradients as variables. And you can't
Not
have
yet.
images as
I
variables.
think they're working on that. I think my first feature request was, I would love to have operations on variables. So I say, okay, I've defined this hex, it's black.
Yeah.
I know what the opacities that we use. What I had to do is, I had to manually write out all the opacities. And that was actually, I'm going to speak to the camera now. Figma, that was a bit painful, let me tell you, before it existed.
That's what happens when you start doing
It's like,
variables.
because the table didn't accept a hex code with a opacity. It defaulted back to FFF. And then I had to click on the little
on the
options.
square to go to-
Yeah, click on the options and then turn the opacity. So that wasn't great, I'll be honest.
That is a bad user experience. I'm sure that will improve over time. And would you say variables is, this is where we get controversial now, would you say it's a better solution than styles? Has it added anything more?
I was on Twitter, as one is, and a few people started talking about, like, actually, are variables that useful? Because you can map the variable to a style.
Yeah.
And so that got me thinking, like, hang on a second, we have hundreds of design files. You know, I mentioned we got 200-300 products. There are hundreds of design files. If I map the variables to styles, then everyone gets dark mode, the dark mode switch for free.
Yeah.
You know? So for me, that was kind of a no-brainer, actually.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just my laptop, but since I've done that, I have noticed on my side a little bit of latency there. So I don't know what to make of that, but it's not like terrible.
So before we hit record, you were saying something about plugins.
People have been making plugins. I think as soon as the feature was released, when I saw there were already some in dev mode that you could install locally. But I was like, I kind of want to experiment, and it wasn't that many colors.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it wasn't that many.
But we're
But
only
now,
a week on now.
so now there are plugins. What it will do is it will take your whole color palette and make them variables, and some of the plugins even then assign those variables to your styles, which is amazing.
Because then you don't have to go in and change anything.
Yeah, exactly. Then you can use another plugin to break your styles, because when you unlink a style, it exposes the variable that it's been assigned to. So if you want to quickly stop using styles totally, you can doing this.
And so the final thing, we talked a lot about like moving to variables, your
Yeah.
experience of setting it up.
Yeah.
What is like the main benefit?
For color, 100% because of light and dark mode, and because in the future, it gives you like a really nice hex table
Yeah.
where you can go and modify things. So if we have an updated color, I'll be honest, it's pretty easy to go and update it. To talk briefly about the numbers and booleans and other stuff, haven't used those so much. I have, however, started to implement some spacing, stuff like that. And it's kind of nice, but I'm not sure if it's ready for design system production yet. You can do a lot with it, but for us, it's a little bit unnecessary because it's just not like fine-tuned in the way. I can't rename a style, so in the inspect panel, my devs aren't seeing the name of our spacing token, they're seeing the name of the variable.
Yeah, so you can't have like padding or gap.
Exactly. Padding and gap is a big one. But then I recently implemented them on modals, so we have 4 sizes of modals. And for some reason we changed this value quite a lot, the width of the modal. I don't know why, it's changed like 3 times in the last 3 years, which is a lot for us. So now, instead of having to go in and manually resize, I can just change the width, the modal width in my variables, and it just does it. So that's very nice, you know. So I see a ton of potential with that stuff.
And I guess also, if you're on Figma Enterprise, you get a REST API, so
Yep.
variables don't have to live in Figma.
Yes.
They can get updated. It's just a way to like decentralize all of this design work, bring it out of
Yeah.
Figma.
Yeah.
And with Dev Mode, I think it makes things a lot closer to Dev as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking forward. I mean, if you scroll down in the variables panel when you go on one individual variable, there is like the code renaming or whatever.
Yeah.
That's coming. I think that's going to be interesting. Then you can really fine tune exactly what EPMs did in the DevTools panel and things like that. So I think there's a lot of potential.
I think there's a lot of amazing stuff coming.
Yeah.
I mean, we were both at the watch party, and I was
Yeah.
going to say, and it was just overwhelming.
And I think it's interesting. It's going to make a little bit of a skill gap. That's one thing I was talking about with some friends, is that it's going to be like
Designers doing like level 1 Figma, designers doing
Yeah.
level 2 Figma. I've been looking at the advanced prototyping stuff as well, and I've
Yeah.
got a video on that coming out soon.
Yeah.
And that is, I think some designers are going to struggle with it. I'm going to be honest. It's going to be
I
tricky.
100% agree.
Yeah.
I haven't messed around with it too much. But again, we said it right at the beginning, right? Optional.
Yeah, totally
It's
optional.
not a big deal if you don't want to learn it. I will reiterate the message. Don't sweat if you haven't done them yet. Please don't sweat if you haven't done them yet.
Yeah.
There's lots of time to do them later on.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Andrew.
Sure.
Cheers.
Pleasure. Lovely to be on.